God of War Ragnarok just got a huge update, introducing new features rather than the same old bug fixes we've got in the past updates, making this our biggest update yet, as well as some bad news for other features and DLC. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this update and whether or not you think it's too late, as I've seen a ton of you guys in the comments saying you don't even care what comes in the future because you already 100% of the game and don't really intend on installing it again. Can you guys believe it's been almost a month since God of War Ragnarok released? We've already had several updates with update 2.01 through 2.03 really just being bug fixes and stabilizing the game a bit more. Not really much to go over at all, but now they're starting to roll out some of the new features such as photo mode, which I was surprised not to see on release, but figured maybe they'd wait until they ported it over to the PC. But it turns out they've given us access to photo mode by now being able to pause the game and press square, which it shows down at the bottom of the screen. The photo mode isn't some out of this world feature. I mean, it's got basic features you get in really any open world game these days, but one thing I noticed that's pretty cool is being able to turn down the filter intensity so it's not just this awful 2012 MySpace filter. And then I really love when you can pose or have facial expressions in photo mode, which it looks like there aren't any poses, which I guess is a good thing because the last thing you want to see Kratos is laying down blowing you a kiss, despite Fortnite already doing that for us. But there are facial expressions which you can also adjust for your companions as well. You're also able to apply expressions to Brock, Sindri, Tyr, Thrud, and even Thor, which is pretty wild enough. You can also rotate the camera in sort of a vertical orientation, perfect for trying to get a screenshot for a mobile wallpaper. They also had a lot more bug fixes being implemented, such as stories being told in the boat no longer being incorrectly interrupted, like you'd be steering along and suddenly Mimir would stop telling his story as if you got into combat or something, as well as a ton of quest fixes, most notably to a lot of the puzzles in different sections of the Grow a Secret quest, as well as a bunch of other quests, and then fixing some issues with completing realm tears, but most importantly, the Muspelheim trials getting stuck no longer allowing you to progress and keeping some players from being able to fight Na, which I've already defeated her, but my center area is still no longer here, so I don't know what's up with this. There are also a friggin' ton of other fixes that you can see here on the patch notes, like falling out of the map and losing your companion because they're stuck somewhere in Fenrir's earwax down in Helheim, and just a huge amount of bugs ranging from music cutting out to making navigation assist a little more accurate. But I mean, that's pretty much all that was covered in this update, so what about the now long-awaited New Game Plus? It's sadly not included in this update, which I mean, I'm not necessarily ready to complain because they gave us a masterpiece of a game, but man, I felt empty as heck once I 100%ed the game and then got on my wolves to go to the next point and realized there is no next point. There's really nothing to do besides maybe locate some post-game hidden dialogue and characters throughout the map to see what those guys are up to, but it would have been nice to have something to do endgame besides completely starting over with nothing coming with you. I'm sure most of us by now have completed Ragnarok and are just waiting for something more to do, and hopefully we won't be waiting much longer since God of War's 2018 release of New Game Plus released about 3 or 4 months after the original release and introduced a ton of new content such as new plus difficulties with even harder Give Me God of War Plus, which gave some enemies completely new movesets and attack patterns, new upgrades to armor sets, and even all new armor sets that were only obtainable in New Game Plus. For example, Zeus's armor, which ended up being the best armor in God of War, but was only able to be obtained after defeating certain Valkyries, one of them being Sigrun, and Give Me God of War Plus, which I'm sure there were plenty of controllers broken over that fight, which seemed nearly impossible at the time. Some pre-order bonuses became available in New Game Plus, which were previously only available for pre-ordering or getting a different edition of God of War, making it a possibility to obtain that Darkdale armor if you don't have it yet. And of course, it also added one of my favorite abilities of being able to skip cutscenes that you've seen in a different playthrough. I'm really hoping we get to see Kratos' fur coat on the starting armor like myself and a lot of y'all thought we'd be able to use when the game released. I'm really surprised we couldn't use it as some sort of cosmetic, but seeing as how Ragnarok massively improved on just about everything from the original, I'm sure New Game Plus will be no different. If you've seen all of my build videos as well as everyone else's, you can see how vast the amount of what you can put together is, which is why I'm definitely hoping we get some sort of class setup type of deal where we can save a preset to easily switch back to that build whenever we want. It'd also be cool to be able to get some more type of Muspelheim style challenges where you can face all of the different bosses again. Maybe even adding them in from the story would be really cool. But I guess we'll have to wait and see when God of War Ragnarok's New Game Plus releases, which I'll update you guys here as soon as it becomes available. Like I said, God of War's New Game Plus became available about 4 months after release, and this isn't exactly uncommon with PlayStation exclusive games, as they pretty much all get a New Game Plus just a few months after release, like we saw with Ghost of Tsushima, and most recently Horizon Forbidden West. As for DLC, we have some pretty disappointing news.
X0 writes in and says, I know we got nothing for God of War 2018, but do you think we could get a DLC for Ragnarok?
I don't know, man. That game is big. I think we put everything we had into it, so I wouldn't count on it.
Fair
It's
answer.
okay to be like Thanos and just go rest in your garden.
Appreciate
Playing
that.
Castlevania Symphony.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys can make it happen. You have the audience out here, the world. Like, I don't know what I'm doing next, but if somebody gets me that Castlevania license, we would love to make
So yeah, it doesn't really sound like DLC is anywhere on their radar. Not exactly what you want to hear considering how much could possibly be done here, but at the same time I'm assuming they're leaving all of the mysteries and unanswered questions for the sequel. Plus, they didn't really have DLC for God of War 2018, but like I said, still added a bunch of content with New Game Plus, which was better than half of the DLCs that release nowadays anyway. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments on this update, as well as what you think about New Game Plus. See ya.